This is Debbie Rochon, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
All right, and welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
Sanibel Lecter.
And joining us is the return of Paul McAlaraney of Ungovernable Films.
Hey, how's it going out there?
Good. Did I get the name right? It's very hard to
You did.
pronounce.
That's a first.
Nice.
I have a trophy that I made years ago. I'm sending it to you.
Awesome.
To the person to say my name right.
Is it now someone else gets it right? Do I have to pass it on? Or is it just the first person to get it right keeps it?
It's like the Stanley Cup.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, if they get it more right. I'll have to record it and compare the two audio files.
Mm-hmm. That'd be interesting. You have a panel of experts.
It's me.
It can be a new yearly Without Your Head contest.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Say Paul's last name.
That'd be a very coveted prize.
I can see your audience plummeting.
No.
I can't get any lower. No. No, Ungovernable Force from Ungovernable Films is it out now? I've seen it, but is it available now? Is it playing anywhere?
Yeah, it's in a few festivals. It's actually the world's premiere is tomorrow night in Arizona at the Arizona Underground Film Festival in Tucson at the screening room on East Congress Street. So that's the world premiere. We did have a private screening, but it was friends and family only, and it was just to see how it looked on the big screen. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we've sent some screeners out, like to you, Neil. Mm-hmm. And all right, so after it plays tomorrow night, it's playing. I believe it's going to be playing at Fright Night Film Fest the weekend after Thanksgiving. And I just got word from two more festivals that I'm just kind of making sure that it's legit before I make any announcement. But I'll tell you right, all night tonight I've been translating the film into Spanish.
Really?
So that'll give you an idea of where it might be playing next.
England.
Yes. England, the city of England in South Africa.
Exactly. Now, do you yourself transfer? How does that process work?
It's about as elementary as you can imagine. Google Translate, 5 years of Spanish assisting me very little, mm-hmm. and then I actually just Googled how to make it into a subtitle. So yeah, and I would pay somebody else to do this if I had any money to pay anybody to do anything.
Just go to college and be like, "Hey kid, you want a movie credit?"
Yeah, right. Well, I have this. I have a friend who's Bolivian, and he was going to translate a contract for me that was for the a licensing contract for the band Escorbuto in Spain, and I eventually just sent it off in English because they said whatever, we'll sign it. And but I was 3 pages long. This is 90, so I can't imagine. I'm not even going to ask him to do it. I would just feel bad.
Nope. I'll actually give people an idea of what the movie's about. They should just watch a trailer, which I posted many times. It's pretty awesome. Yeah,
so it's our attempt at a punksploitation film. In line with Suburbia, Class of 1984, Class of Nukem High, all those Repo Man, all those great punksploitation films. So we wanted to do a punksploitation film, and it's about a handful of punks, regular kids that associate with the punk subculture, and they become friends with this group of homeless people, and then they team up to fight a fascist rapist sheriff and his 2 deputies. And then in the process of that, there's a mafia, there's a political, a mayoral political race, there's monsters, there's hipsters. There's not much that we left out, I guess. Yeah. There's lots of sex and nudity, and there's a genital mutilation, plenty of that.
Yep. And there's even Mohawk penetration, which I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yes, there's a sex scene that involves a Mohawk. Mm-hmm. That's as punk as he gets, right?
I agree. Yes. What was what inspired? Did you write the movie too?
Yes, I wrote it.
So what inspired the story, or is it just those other movies you mentioned?
It was honestly that I wanted to do a film that was, a real glimpse at punk,
Mm-hmm.
and but I needed a plot, so I just kind of like started thinking about it, and I was like, all right, well, I need a villain, so I thought, oh, what would be good is a cop. Cops are always good villains, and I wanted to include homeless people because Nick Norman was the cinematographer and one of the producers. He and I had been joking about doing a movie that all the actors were bums or homeless people, and we just pay them in like liquor and crack, which obviously we weren't really gonna do because that's fucked up.
Right.
But I like the idea of a movie about homeless people in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, we'll have punks, we'll have homeless people, we'll have a cop as the bad guy, and the rest kind of just like wrote itself in my head over the course of a few weeks, and then I wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely it was mainly inspiration from all those punk exploitation films and even some Mondo films. I was watching like Mondo Kane around the time that I was getting ready to write it and stuff. So I wanted it to be like really like slice of life, like almost like documentary style, which we abandoned for the most part in favor of a more straightforward exploitation, good versus evil
Mm-hmm.
type of plot. But I there are some scenes that have the remnants of that Mondo aspect that we wanted to include in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Does that happen often when you're making a film that the whole vibe or the structure of it will change while you're making it?
Yes, and we just finished shooting The Streets Run Red a couple months ago, which is our latest feature. It's still in post production, and we aimed to make it like our most serious film yet. But Nick, same Nick and I were joking about halfway through, and we said to each other, we are incapable of making a serious film. Like everything we do ends up turning into like genital mutilation and like weird sex moves and like this ridiculous shit. So. But I mean, it's good to try, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Well, if you keep trying and you come up with good stuff no matter what, then
Exactly. Hey, I mean, I can't complain about the genre that we end up creating. Like, I'm obviously a huge Troma fan, and our films seem to end up just like looking like Troma films, which is fine with me.
Mm-hmm. And I said this on the show before, and not just because like you're here. Is when I first saw the first movie I saw of yours was Honky Holocaust.
Yeah.
And I went through like a stretch of honestly very bad screeners, which happens a lot, doing the show. And then that popped on, and right away I was like, oh, this is an awesome premise. And so that's fun and all, but when you watch it, there's a lot of like serious ideas in there, and that's what really stuck out about this movie. Like you said about the homeless, there's there's a lot of like social commentary there about the homeless and how like they're dehumanized by the different groups.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that was definitely an aim, is to add in some social commentary, and I mean to have like a very nihilistic approach, but then like to hint at these undeniable social issues is kind of like what we like to do. Like we like to. I mean, the best example. I mean, the homeless one is a great example, but the one that I always like to talk about is homophobia. And I mean, we're all very pro gay rights and all that, and hate homophobia. I mean, Gay Jesus was a passion project of mine, if you will. But
that's another movie he's made.
Yes.
Yes, I made Gay Jesus too. And Gay Jesus, the human being, is also a passion project of mine. But I wanted to use the word faggot and fag a lot in the Ungovernable Force, because that's a word that my friends and I use. You know what I mean? And I know that there's a negative connotation with the word, that it's a gay slur, but I've never used it as a gay slur. It's always been, kind of like, you're a faggot. You think too highly of yourself, and it basically means like a douchebag, a self-righteous douchebag in my eyes, and that's how all my friends think of it as well. And I like the power of the word, because people who are like, homophobic will take extra offense to being called a faggot. So it's like this, like, double-edged sword or whatever. And so I wanted to use that, and we actually had a few crew members who read the script and said, I'm not going to be part of this homophobic project. And I was like, yes, that means that we're already upsetting people, like, in the wrong way, obviously, but we always like to offend people.
Yeah.
So I explained to them, like, listen, we're using this word because we want it to be realistic. We want people to look at these characters and say, oh, these guys are real people. They're just like you and me. But then forget about the words they're using. Look at the way they treat their gay friend. And yeah, they tease him, but he teases them right back about other things about them. And they're all, it's this general idea of like their friends are going to give each other shit. One of them happens to be gay, so that's what they give him shit about. The other one is a pussy, so they give him shit about that. They give the girl shit because she's a girl. It's just, that's what friends do. And it's not, politically correct, but we don't want to be politically correct. We want to say, all right, forget about these words and look at the way that they're actually acting, which is like a big thing of mine is people get so hung up on the words other people use. Like, obviously, I'm very much against like the N-word and stuff like that. I'll never use that in real life. I'll put it in films, of course, but I'll never use it in real life. But I don't want people to get hung up on words when there's a bigger picture that they're just missing totally. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
I totally understand it. It's the intent of the intent of the word. If you would say you dirty, disgusting fag, then like, that would be like this
Neil,
hateful.
whoa, dude.
Right. But and you play no, but I totally understand what you're saying because I always said it too, and it was the same way. I never meant like, oh man, you love other men. It was, man, he's kind of acting like a fag. But you explained a lot better than I did actually.
Yeah, another thing is like, in my mind, like we're never gonna be, tolerant if we can't even talk about this. You know what I mean? Like, I like the word pussy. Like calling someone a pussy means that they're, they're a wuss. But that doesn't mean that women are wusses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a word. And same with like, oh, this is gay. It doesn't mean, oh, it's homosexual. It's just a word. And I'm all about, not offending people because of intolerance or discrimination. Like I'm very much against discrimination and prejudice and all that. But at the same time, I'm even more against like, censoring ourselves to the point of like, having like thought control. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and for that reason, I like saying things that piss off politically correct people because in my experience, you've got a lot of politically correct people who have a lot of friends of color and gay friends and whatnot, but then you've got a lot of these whitewashed suburban kids who come to the city and they experience college for the first time and they don't have any gay friends or black friends or Hispanic friends or Asian friends yet, but they're the ones that are like, oh, you can't say that, you can't say this, blah, 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 and holding up these signs that they don't even understand. I'm like, well, actually, in the real world, we do say these things, and we actually act a certain way where you're just like, cuddled in your little corner talking about, political correctness.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of because it's throughout the whole movie, and actually, it's kind of funny because I actually did censor myself a little bit because when I was doing the write up, I wrote we're going to talk about all these things, and at the end, I wrote plus probably Nazis, fags, and penises.
Nice.
And then when I shared it, I was like, some people on my Facebook were probably like, "What the hell is that?" So then I like took out fag and put in blood or something kind of lame. But there's a lot of scenes that like you really have fun with it. Kind of like when the guy's like, I don't want to spoil the movie, but he's like, "Oh, this fag's running for mayor," and there's like a gay couple, jogging down the street, and then there's like a whole back and forth dialogue there. That's really funny.
Yeah. And I can see that, really happening. You've got this gay couple. One of them might be a little bit of a hothead, and that occurs. And my whole point of that scene was like, here's this gay dude, and he's really tough, and he's ready to kick this guy's ass, and that right there destroys a stereotype. You know what I mean? So it's not about like, oh, look at this movie. This is going to be the Bible of how we should treat each other from now on. It's oh, let's see how many stereotypes we can destroy in the course of 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also thought you did a good job in incorporating all that without like beating you over the head with it. It's in the movie, but you can see it or not see it, but it's not like preachy at all.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tough not to be preachy sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you have Mohawk penetration.
I mean, all right, that is a preachy scene. I think everyone should be practicing Mohawk penetration.
Everybody should just grow a Mohawk for the specific purpose.
Or just grow a
handy someday.
Just one spike.
Liberty Spike.
Now I know what the Misfits are doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why their spikes are greasy and wet. It's post penetration. They jump on stage.
But you can't do it with a faux hawk.
No.
No.
It would just get like floppy and matted down.
Exactly. Now, I know coming up you're getting married and you'll be going on your honeymoon.
Oh.
Yeah. 16 days.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But that did lead me to a question, because your fiance and your wife in 16 Days is in the movie, and she's did you write that character for her, and how did she feel being called cunt throughout the movie?
She chose that character.
Okay.
I wrote it before. I started writing it before we were dating, and when we were getting ready to cast, she said, "I want to play this character," and I said, "All right. Well, first of all, I need to see that you can act." So she showed me, her way, however she would portray the character, and then she said, "I want to play the character of cunt. I love that character." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "All right, you're good. It's yours."
Very cool.
Marry me.
She's very nice. Both of you are nice. Actually, Paul and Selena gave me a ride to the Streets Run Red party.
That's right.
From Sandwich?
It was our pleasure.
They're nice people.
Yeah. They came down to the Cape and
Went to some Brazilian grill.
Brazilian grill down here is very good. It is very good. But I forget the name. I think is his last name McCarthy, the pro wrestler who plays one of the cops.
Yes, Mike McCarthy.
That yeah, it's a perfect casting. It's like, it's a little different from some of the rest of the film, but it's just a very memorable role, and it really stands out. And you could tell he's having fun with the character.
He's the man. He auditioned for Honky Holocaust. We put up a casting call for punks and skinheads to be on the team with what's her name, Kendra Manson, and her anti-racist crew. And so I wanted to have some punks and skinheads in that scene. So he showed up, and I knew him. I knew of him because in high school he was the lead singer of this band, For the Worst, that I idolized. I loved them in high school. And so fast forward almost half a decade, and we're doing the auditions for this scene, and I had totally forgot about the band For the Worst by then. I hadn't forgotten about him, but I hadn't listened to him or seen him or anything. And in walks this guy. And I'm like, that guy looks familiar. So after thinking about it for a minute, I walked up to him hey, are you the singer of that band For the Worst? He goes, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, you don't need to audition then. You've got the role. You're the fucking man. So thanks for being in my movie. And he was so cool and willing to do anything. He pees in his mouth in Honky Holocaust. So once he did that, I was like, all right, we got to keep this guy on board. And he's the man. He loves doing this shit with us. And obviously he's a huge asset to the films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's in the trailer, but just some of the best lines in the movie, and they're said with such conviction, and it's a lot of fun.
I love being a fucking cop.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. What do you have a personal favorite line in the movie? I have one which I wrote down, but that's up there.
Let me think. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Selena's telling me to say, I'm going to go jizz all over your precious shit. That's a good line. That's a McCarthy line. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I had a favorite line. Now I can't remember it. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go with, I'm going to go jizz all over your precious shit.
I'm really partial to let's do some rape.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is the precious shit stuff that's my shit over there, and it's a bunch of books or whatever, or is it actual shit?
Well, I'll tell you this. I won't answer that question, but I will tell you that there is live defecation in the Ungovernable Force.
Oh, this is attractive.
Yep.
That's drawn in the crowds. No, seriously. These movies sound awesome.
It is. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I watched it today with my mom for the second. I didn't watch it the first time I was with my mom, but...
How'd you like it?
I don't know how she liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Is she in therapy right now as we speak?
She does have the same shirt that someone in the movie had, though. Not the Ice Spinning Grave. It's I Drink Your Blood shirt. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she's pretty.
Maybe she loved it.
She might have.
Yeah, she's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Neil's mom is hip.
Exactly.
With weird stuff.
So, well, yeah. I mean, she used to take me to the drive-in to see horror movies since I was a little kid. So it's all good.
Nice. That's a good mom right there.
Yeah. So how did Bill Whedon get involved?
When Dave Sullivan is the casting director. He also played the mafia member Tony Balls that he gives a long speech about Lucky Luciano, and he's also one of the executive producers of the film. So him and I were working on the casting, and we wanted to get as many not cheap as in bad, but inexpensive cameos as we could. So I literally had this list that was like hundreds of names long of all different horror movie stars and people that were Troma films and you name it. And so I had just watched Sergeant Kabuki Man before making this list. And I was like, I'd love to get the guy that played Reginald Stewart. So he was on the list, and Dave was in charge of contacting all these people. And of course, within, usually by the first phone call or email, you just delete the name because they're like, "What's your budget? That's your budget? Yeah, you couldn't even afford his fingernail." So, but Bill Weeden, we contacted directly, and he was very affordable, and he's an unbelievable actor. And he, in my opinion, and this is not to say anything bad about anybody else in the film, but he stole his scenes, in my opinion. He was incredible, and he had a total of 0 rehearsals. He showed up ready to shoot from New York. We put him on a train from New York each time that he was in a scene, and he showed up literally ready to shoot. And I suspect it's because he really is a general of some homeless army in New York. I really do believe that he is that character of Kevin. And he acts that way, he dresses that way. So I think that actually he just didn't realize he was acting, but he was incredible.
Yeah, his speech when he dubs on the Ungovernable Force, that's a very powerful scene, and he just nails it.
He really does. And we shot that at that scene was shot at 2 or 3 in the morning, on a 20-something hour day in Worcester. He's very old. There were days when I was wondering if we should have an ambulance on standby. He's in good health. I'll tell him he put up with a lot of our shit. But there were some times he fell asleep, and I was wondering if we should call the morgue or an ambulance. He'd snap right out of it, be ready to shoot right away.
Yeah. Now, as the writer, when you write that speech out, and you see it in your head and stuff, and then when you see Bill Whedon perform it, what do you think? And did he deliver it the way you thought, or was it even better, or how did it compare?
He nailed it, and he made it even better. I mean, I could not have asked for a better interpretation of my writing. It was unbelievable, and he added in some stuff when he in the scene where he's telling Sal to explain himself to the bums about something, and Sal kind of chokes, and Bill Whedon's character zips his lips and throws away the key. That whole ordeal. He made that up. He came and said, "Hey, I want to try something, something kind of weird." And so he did it, and he's like, "Do you like that? Do you like?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love that. Go ahead and do that in every take." And he did, and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't. We had Bill on the show, and he loved working with you guys. But he did say that he thought the Streets Run Red was too violent or too bloody. That's why he didn't want to be in it.
Yeah, we and I respect his opinion.
Yeah,
Bill's the man. And I told him, listen, I'd love to have you in it, but if you're not comfortable with the stuff, then we'll contact you on the next one. That's fine. But I do have to say that we do quote him all the time, in jest, not negatively. But
right.
He said, I guess he told Dave Sullivan, he goes, "I can't be in this movie of yours, The Streets Run Red. It's torture porn, and I detest the genre." So we always say, "I detest this" or "I detest that," to give a little ode to Bill Whedon.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Dave Sullivan, who's called on the show a bunch of times, and he's a great guy. I just want to quick, how did you guys meet and get together as creative partners?
So Dave, Dave has told me how he got involved more times than he's told me plenty of times how he got involved. So I'm going to reference that as that's the truth because I'm assuming it is. He auditioned for the Honky Holocaust because one of the other actors in it told him, had said, "Hey, there's this movie Honky Holocaust. It's really cool. It's exploitation." So he auditioned for it, and then something happened. I think he had an injury or something, and he had to back out of the project. In the meantime, he sent Mike McCarthy to us and said, "Hey, you gotta check out these kids. They're doing this cool, Nazi exploitation movie. You'll love it." So that's how Mike McCarthy heard about it, according to Dave. And then, like 8 months later, Dave had recovered from whatever it was that made him need to step out of the film. And he said, "Hey, I'm back. Do you have any more roles for me?" And I said, "Hey, we have an extra role. You can be one of the henchmen." And I said, "But don't worry, the extras in my movies, they don't just stand there. They each get to do something wacky. And chances are you'll wind up on screen." So, of course, Dave shows up, and his character ends up being the one that pukes, and then gets in a shootout, gets shot in the stomach, etc. So his extra character ended up having a lot of screen time. And on top of that, he would stick around because he actually lived right down the street from where we were filming, and would help us build the sets and paint the sets and do this and do that. And before I knew it, Dave was involved in more and more stuff. And then he was in the 12 Rounds for the Loaded, a short we did where he was completely naked, getting electrocuted, and puking all over his balls, which is where we gave him the name Hollywood Balls because we talked about his balls on another radio show. And we said, "Hey, your balls are on the radio." And he said, "Hollywood Balls." So that's how he got his name, Hollywood Balls. And after that, I invited him to be part of Ungovernable Films.
Mm-hmm. Love at first sight with the balls.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's good in Ungovernable Force, too.
He nails that scene. His speech is incredible.
Mm-hmm. And he's in a scene with Tony Moran. And how did you get Tony Moran involved in the movie?
Tony Moran was one of the people on our list, and I kind of gave Dave carte blanche on the people that we would end up casting as far as the cameos go. He knew what our budget was, and I said, "Listen, whatever you think is best, go for it." And obviously, I'll confer with you on everything, but you're going to be doing all the footwork, so you can make whatever you want happen. So he ended up talking to Tony Moran on the phone, and they hit it off. Like Tony and Dave would talk. Before Tony even came out to shoot with us, I feel like him and Dave were like best friends. Like they knew each other's stories. They cried over the phone to each other. If they had a bad day, they'd call each other and talk each other up and all that. So they'd send each other dick pics and stuff. So they were like really close. And then when he showed up to shoot, Tony was really cool, really great. I think he was very skeptical of us. I think he just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to screw him, that he wasn't going to get stranded somewhere and not be able to make it back to LA or whatever. So, and I respect that. He came a long way, and we have it's his career and all that stuff. So I respected that he was definitely wary of us, but he nailed his scene. He did great. He was awesome to work with, and but I remember that the lead character, the lead actor in the Ungovernable Force, Jake, he showed up. He happened to be really late on the day that Tony was shooting, and Tony was not happy about that. And it all worked out fine. Jake did great, but a few weeks later, we shot a scene where we beat up Jake, Jake's character Sal in the movie, during a punk show, and somehow word got back to Tony that we had beat up Jake Vaughn, and I'm just sitting around one day and I get this text from Los Angeles and it said, "Hey, I heard you beat up Jake Vaughn. Great job." And I'm like, so I text him back and I go, "Who is this?" And he's like, "Tony Moran. Good job beating up Jake. Bye." I was like, "Oh, all right." But and it's funny because Jake loves his animosity with Tony. I mean, the two did great together. I don't care what if one of them was late or forgot their lines or anything like that. They nailed the scene together.
Yeah. That was good casting, too. Tony as the mob boss.
Yeah. And he came back and he was in Streets Run Red. And he was awesome. And I think he really... I'll tell you what. I won't put words in his mouth. I'll tell you what he said. He said, "We are among the top, if not the top, independent film company he likes to work with." So
Wow.
those are his words, not mine. And he really showed us that. He showed up. He was awesome. He had all his lines memorized. He tried all these different ways of doing his character. He hung out with us for the night. He's a cool dude, and really great to shoot with and work with and everything, and very receptive to all kinds of directions. So I think after the Ungovernable Force and he saw what we did, he really, his curiosity and suspicion of us not knowing what the fuck we're doing is gone.
Yeah. And I'm sure that he's done a lot of, worked with a lot of independent people before, so that's definitely high praise.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. We've always had a good time with him on the show too.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to mention Timothy Fife's score because he told me I had to mention him. No.
How much is he paying you?
Well, I think he's giving me a free popcorn, which I can't even eat anymore.
He has grown out a nice mohawk.
Timothy
Who has?
Oh, I see where you're
to fuck Neil's stomach wound.
Yeah, well,
there's a scene
is that okay with the doctor, Neil?
I was actually told by the not that specifically.
What?
But I was not allowed to have. I'm not allowed to be sodomized. Not.
What about? Yeah, but that's not really your.
No,
asshole.
I know. So that's it. So I'm not really sure.
That's okay.
I'm not sure.
Now I see the truth about these doctors.
It was very weird. I was told I could to eat cheeseburgers and not be sodomized.
Damn.
They have a mohawk penetrate your stomach wound.
What if you?
What if you eat cheeseburgers through your ass? Is that okay?
What if like your main source of sexual interaction in life was getting porked? I mean,
and I guess
what would you do? That would fucking suck.
Well, I guess perhaps once it's all healed, then maybe.
So it's not like forever.
I didn't really go into detail with it because it didn't really pertain to me.
It doesn't appeal.
Yeah, right. So, but I don't know. I'll call him up.
You should find out because now everybody's gonna want to know.
Seriously, I need to know how long I have to wait, Neil. Seriously.
It could come up in a future Ungovernable Force film.
Oh, we're working Neil's Lost Summer into all of our films from now on, in every way.
That could be the next film, The Lost Summer. There's a lot of blood. There might be as much blood in My Lost Summer as in The Streets Run Red.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What about in The Shining? Which one takes the cake?
It was very similar. Like if the doors in The Shining were the size of like the hole in my stomach, it would be similar.
then you were Stanley Kubrick for the day.
I was, yes. It is very weird just having blood just flowing out of you, I have to say.
Yeah.
In massive
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not right.
No. Speaking of gore, though, I thought that there was a gore scene in the Ungovernable Force that was see how I tied that all together. Is very was like Herschel Gordon Lewis-esque.
Which one? All of them, or one in particular?
There's one in particular when I think it was after they kill one of the homeless people, and they're just basically playing with the entrails, and it was very much like Wizard of Gore or Blood Feast.
Oh, when he's just holding onto his intestines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's What were those? Those are real intestines, I think. I can't remember now. I think they were cow intestines or something.
Oh, I thought you meant he cut his out. I was like, that's dedication.
Oh,
he's very committed.
Yes.
He was kind of a prick, so no, I'm just kidding.
So maybe down the road.
I love Herschel Gordon Lewis, so anything we can do that resembles his work is fine by me.
Yeah. Speaking of that, who are obviously Troma you've talked about, but who are some of the filmmakers or older films that inspired you to want to be a filmmaker?
I mean, it's changed over the years. You know what I mean? So, but I'll say that the ones that inspire me most today are, Roger Corman, Jack Hill, Lloyd Kaufman. I love Valerian Borowczyk. I think he's like Polish or Czechoslovakian. And I watched one of his films, La Bête, The Beast, and it was like, basically sexploitation for most of it, and then at the end is there's a monster that has a large erect penis that is just perpetually ejaculating, and he like rapes this
you just sold me. So
it's awesome. I wasn't expecting. I'm like, all right, this is a pretty good sexploitation movie, and then the monster arrives, and it's just like it's incredible. So, he's a big inspiration right now. And then Dario Argento. I love Jean Rollin. And yeah, I mean, honestly, like pretty much anyone you'd expect. I mean, the ones that stand out for me are like Jack Hill and Valerian Borowczyk right now. And then, I mean, obviously like Corman and Kaufman, but yeah.
Actually, anyone we wouldn't expect as an inspiration. It's like something away from the genre kind of film or director.
I don't know. I mean, I have I like pretty much all films. I like Wes Anderson. I like most of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, and who else? I mean, I like Steven Spielberg movies. I like Indiana Jones and Jaws. You name it. So pretty much anyone. I hate Tony Scott. I was like happy when he died. He was like my least favorite director. I remember when he jumped off the bridge, I was like, first of all, everybody that I was talking to about it didn't know who he was. So I didn't really I felt even worse, like being happy about it, because like all these people are just like, he's happy with someone dying. I was like, well, it's not his death.
He deserves it. Don't you understand?
Yeah, he made Top Gun. He should die again. But he also made True Romance, which is like the only reason that I've ever accepted him as a human being. But like, I hate all of his films, so that's someone I hate. And I don't hate many directors. I mean, I understand they're all just, I hate Uwe Boll. I fucking hate him too. But I did enjoy watching House of the Demons, because he uses like the same shot like 8,000 times.
He does that in several of his. He does that in In the Name of the King. There's like an orcs are attacking or whatever, and it's replayed like 7 or 8 times.
I hate him.
Are you guys gonna have like one of those matches that he's done?
Where he just pops.
Where you get in the ring? Yeah.
Is he tough? I don't really want to get my ass kicked just because he's a bad.
I think he would kick everyone's ass.
Then it would add insult to injury if he just kicked your ass.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all he has going. I think that the fact that he's challenged so many people means he's probably pretty tough. Because like, I mean, why would you put your reputation on the line and then lose? And like, that'd be the worst thing ever, to be a bad director and then lose a boxing match because someone made fun of your movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen these matches? There's at least one on YouTube. Oh yeah, he just crushes these people. It's really sad. I mean, granted, the ones I remember, the guys he challenges are just like kind of nerds. I mean, they're like geeks or nerds, and they're not in their best physical shape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to like it more.
Can't be in physical shape.
I agree though, because
they're just like these soft, doughy guys.
That's what made me start to like him, was watching stuff like that, because he'll challenge like internet like bloggers who write bad about his movies, and then just beat them up. And I was like, I can't not like dislike this guy anymore. That's pretty.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
like that in and of itself should be a movie. Like, and that's probably the best contribution he's ever made to film, is if a movie got made about a director that just beat the shit out of like critics.
Yeah,
his rants are hilarious. So I don't even know if I've ever seen one of his movies.
Just
assume that you have, and just know that it was bad.
Yeah,
the phenomenon of Uwe Boll. I like you.
In the Name of the King, he has Burt Reynolds as like a medieval English king.
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's just.
How does he get someone like Burt Reynolds to be in one of his movies?
I have no idea. The cast is like huge, but they're all totally miscast. But it really makes me laugh.
That's like Tommy Wiseau getting like Brad Pitt or something.
Yeah. God, the name escapes me right now. The lead in Goodfellas.
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta. He's in that too, and he plays an evil wizard.
Really?
Yeah. And he's got like his heavy New York accent, and it's like a medieval evil wizard.
I wonder if they know that like they're making this horrible movie and they should just have fun with it. They must. I mean, who doesn't know like how bad Uwe Boll's movies is? Like, I mean, especially even if you didn't know who he was, just like if you just like Googled his name, I don't even know what would come up, but I can't imagine it's flattering.
I'd assume all of those people have agents that are supposed to be looking out for them.
True. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe this is like a way for them to get, seen by these bloggers, you know what I mean? That'll never see one of their other movies.
It's on YouTube, I guess. In the name of the king. It's got almost 1 million views.
Really?
Yeah.
It's something.
Post this totally immoral bad link.
All right.
In the Facebook group.
Uwe Boll will be coming for us.
You know what? I bet he'll be happy if people watch it.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I've had Uwe Boll on the show years ago.
Have you really?
Yeah. He gave one of my favorite liners. He just, "This is Uwe Boll, and you listen to Without Your Head, my favorite website." Then he just laughs like it's a total lie.
That's exactly what I'd imagine him doing.
Which makes me laugh, but yeah. So I didn't want to go back. It's weird to go from Uwe Boll to Dario Argento, but since you brought him up, I always like the lighting in your movies, and in Ungovernable Force in particular, you have a lot of green and like pink, purple in there. And just what are your thoughts on lighting? And is that something like you focus on a lot in the movie?
It wasn't always. I mean, Nick Norman kind of turned me on to like the gel lighting themes of these movies. Nick Norman showed me Suspiria. He introduced me to Dario Argento. He said, like, check out the lighting in this movie. So I watched it. I was like, oh, this is a great movie. The lighting's incredible. I love the music. Everything about it is awesome. And he's big on the gel lighting, the heavy, rich colors and whatnot. And, when I started making films with him, I didn't know the first thing about lighting. So I just let him do whatever he wanted. And a bit over time, I started to like understand and appreciate the perspective and direction that he was taking with the lighting. So I started to work it into the scripts and the storyboards and all that. And then when he would be talking with the gaffers and everyone about what he wanted to do with the lights, I would start to have some input, which was awesome. I love being able to contribute to more than just the writing and directing and whatnot. Mm-hmm. To do some of the technical stuff. Not that I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I know what I want it to look like. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I give full credit to Nick Norman for pulling off those cool gel lighting scenarios, and then also the gaffer Adam Schaefer, who was on the Ungovernable Force. He was really good too.
I think it just elevate, obviously, it's not a huge budget movie or anything, but I think stuff like that elevates it and makes it look more interesting and not like a cheap movie. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. And it also gives it like a caricaturish or surreal look. Also, it's kind of it reminds you that you're watching this piece of fiction. You know what I mean? Like which I like. I don't really want people to watch my movies and then say like, "Oh, this isn't very realistic." Like yeah, no shit. I want them to know that they're watching a glimpse of another universe.
You also mentioned you like Jaws, but I know you also like Jaws 2.
I do like Jaws. That's right. We had that discussion. I do like Jaws 2. There was a time when I was a kid that Jaws 2 was my favorite Jaws.
Really?
Yeah. I've always liked, first of all, I love boats. I absolutely love boats. I grew up, my dad was big into boats, so I grew up on a lot of boats. And I've always loved the idea of living on a boat or like just having this little microcosmic, boat house or houseboat, whatever. And so in Jaws 2, they're stuck on those two like sailboats that they tied together, and it becomes like they're stuck here. It's almost like they have to make this new, life for themselves. I mean, obviously it's only like a day or whatever, but to me, that was really alluring. And they had to like protect themselves from Jaws, and they were stuck in the middle of the ocean. Like that was really cool. I don't know. And growing up, we watched Jaws all the time. Jaws 1 and 2 especially, and then Jaws 3 a little bit, and then I watched Jaws 4 one too many times, which was once. And but I always loved Jaws 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's hard to beat Jaws. I just watched it again the other day.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did you get the? They showed it recently somewhere in Boston, like out by a lake or out in the water.
It was in Winthrop.
Okay.
Yeah,
They showed it outside of the beach.
What do they show? Jaws?
Yeah, Jaws. And
on like a
they got such a giant response on Facebook. It was like, I don't know, like 20,000 people were interested, and however many thousand said they were going to go, and they had to post announcements saying, we don't have room for all of you. We're really sorry.
We're
probably not going to work out. So
we're going to need a bigger theater.
Exactly.
But we're keeping all the pre-sales.
That's awesome. I would love to see that, like on a beach. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I
and
noticed...
like, if they just like released like a hungry great white shark into the water and encourage everyone to go swimming, like go swimming after the movie, and film it.
Come on.
Yeah, they've been showing a lot of like outdoor stuff this year.
Good, they
Not
should.
Winthrop.
No, but I mean just in general around the area.
Has anybody other than Coolidge and Winthrop?
Have
you seen any of the Coolidge hosted ones yet?
Outdoors?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were doing it, to be honest.
Yeah. It was great. And when we went to
yeah, they showed the
Friday
Friday 13th
Woods.
and part 6.
Was that in the fall? They've done it different places. That one was at Rocky something lake thing. I don't even remember which one
it was like
I'd never been there. Rocky Woods Reservation, I think.
Oh, is that in Medfield or Norwood or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
It was really cool. They, you pull in and park, and they've got like little candles lighting the path, and they had a guy dressed like Jason. There? It was sweet. Awesome. It was so dark, and the people that managed that property were very excited to have them and wanted them to do more. So there was like a big screen outside, and they had food. It was freezing, and you brought your own place to sit or whatever, but it didn't matter. It was just so great. Mm-hmm. It was just an awesome experience. They played that, and then what was the other?
It was Friday 13th, the original one, and then they showed part 6, which was an odd combination, but yeah.
It was just bad.
Yeah, we're going to show you part 1, and then we're going to skip ahead a little bit and show you part 6.
Yeah. I wonder how many people there never seen them, because that would just be strange. But I can't imagine many people would go like an outdoor showing of Friday 13th films if they've never seen them.
I just can't imagine anyone hasn't seen it yet, and unless you're a little kid or you're just never gonna see it.
Yeah, you'd have to not be into horror at all.
Yeah. And then they got one coming up. This is an ad for the Coolidge, but it's just cool. There's one coming up in October, and they're showing at the same place, and it's by a cabin. So they're showing Cabin in the Woods and the original Evil Dead.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun, I think. So Lloyd Kaufman has a cameo in the movie. I believe he plays I was gonna say your dad, but it's not. It's like it's Sal's father-in-law, kind of, right?
He plays the director's father. Break the fourth wall. He plays the main character's dad. Mm-hmm. That was actually the very first scene that we shot for the Ungovernable Force. We shot that in May of 2014, I believe, and we actually drove down to New York to shoot it, and because we didn't want to pay for Lloyd Kaufman to travel all the way to Boston, and for a quick scene, so we actually spent like a few weeks trying to find people in New York that were willing to lend their apartment for the day to shoot a scene with Lloyd Kaufman, and nobody bit. You know what I mean? So we were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? So Bill Whedon came to the rescue. Bill Whedon had a friend who had an apartment, and she was really cool, and she let us shoot the scene there, left the door unlocked for us. Bill and his wife showed up. Bill's wife, Dolores McDougal, was actually played Sal's mother. She was the woman that Lloyd Kaufman was playing opposite, and it was cool. We ordered pizza and hung out with Lloyd and Dolores and Bill Weeden for the day, and then we had unplugged the woman, the Good Samaritan altruistic woman's refrigerator so that we could, because I think it was humming or something. We unplugged it, forgot to plug it back in. So like a few days later, we get this call from Bill. He's like, "Hey, did you guys forget to? Do you guys unplug this refrigerator? All the food's bad." And we're like, "Oh fuck!" So, but we sent her a check for whatever she claimed the food was worth, and it was like really low. So she still did us a huge favor, which is cool.
Yeah, it sounds like she was really kind.
Yeah, she was very. I couldn't believe it. She had cats, and like she's just like, yeah, just don't let the cats get out. So like we kind of obviously weren't thinking about that at all while we were shooting. And then at the end of the day, when we're like wrapping up, I'm like, hey, we haven't seen the cats all day, and I was like starting to panic that we had killed them or something. So, but then we found them like just like terrified, cuddled in the back of like one of the closets. They're like, what the fuck is Lloyd Kaufman doing here? So, but yeah, she was really cool. Very, very helpful to us by letting us use her apartment.
Do you find things like that do tend to always work out? That if you have a need and you feel kind of screwed, that it just ends up happening anyways? And has it ever not worked out?
I don't know. I mean, knock on wood, it's always seemed to work out, more or less. I'm trying to think of a time that it didn't, but I mean, we always just kind of make it happen. Like I hate rescheduling. I hate canceling shoots. I just feel like it's never going to happen if we have to move it. So I'll shoot pretty much anything, anywhere if it comes down to it. Instead of delaying or postponing or something. So but yeah, we've had locations fall through at the last minute. We've had obviously weather make it impossible to shoot something, or technical issues. I mean, I think one time we were shooting one of our first films, Moon Smilers, and we were shooting a scene at New England Institute of Art (AI) in Brookline, and we'd been shooting way up in Boxford, where my parents used to live, earlier that day, and we left the camera battery there. So we're something like 25 to 30 miles south of there in Boston, and the school is going to close in an hour, and we realized we don't have any battery power. So I drove all the way back to Boxford, got the battery, and drove all the way back down, and shot the entire scene in like a matter of 6 minutes or something.
Wow.
And just because I didn't want to reschedule. So yeah, we always seem to make it work, I guess. I mean, we're not trying to shoot Stanley Kubrick movie or anything. So we just do one take if we have to.
So Ungovernable Force, a lot of it is rise up against the police in the movie, and I would think that's really topical right now, and also probably pretty controversial. So I know it's going to be premiering. You said tomorrow, I think, or days. So I guess it hasn't really had a chance to have any kind of backlash about that or anyone talking about that. But do you foresee any problems with audiences with that part of the film, with violence towards the police, even though they're portrayed as Nazis in the movie? So.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I would say yes, absolutely, if the film reaches enough people. But unfortunately, as is the nature of independent underground exploitation film, we don't really have too big of an audience, and most people know what they're getting into when they watch the movie. So, but I would say, yeah, I mean, Hunky Holocaust, I'm sure you guys saw, we posted a bunch of the reviews on Amazon Prime that were just like, just poorly written, like broken English, obviously written by Americans, but like poorly written, broken English, like, this racist piece of shit movie, and then the next one is this liberal anti-white movie. Just like They can't get their shit straight. So I'm sure that if it reaches enough people, we'll have a few Blue Lives Matters scumbags out there that are all like, "Oh, this movie makes cops look bad." Blah blah blah. These people should be shot and killed. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean maybe. That being said, though, I will say this with pride: we predated the Black Lives Matter movement and the whole anti-cop thing going on right now. That was a happy accident that the cops started becoming like more villainized in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when did you start filming Ungovernable Force?
May 2014, I think. Yeah, 2014. May 2014.
So, and how long did it take to finish?
We wrapped principal photography in, I think, October of 2014. So like 5 months.
Okay.
And we shot in the weekends only. I think we shot one weekday. But then, I mean, we're kind of trying to get away from shooting on weekends going forward because it just takes so goddamn long.
Why is that? Just, it's busy.
I mean, yeah, you only have 2 days a week to shoot. You got to focus on everything else that's going on in your life. Like we shot Streets Run Red in 2 weeks straight. It's all we did for 2 weeks. It was film Streets Run Red, and it was. I mean, I liked it way more. I just took 2 weeks off from work and focused only on filmmaking. Just did nothing else but those whole 2 weeks. And yeah, it got to be a bit overwhelming at times, but we got it done. And we only had to spare 2 weeks instead of 5 months of our time. Because even when you're shooting only on the weekends, Monday through Friday, that's all you're really worried about is filming. But you got to work and you got to do this and you got to do that, and you got to try and get all this shit done, and then you're pulling all-nighters just to get props done at the last minute. Whereas if you're just filming for those 2 weeks, you can, just do that.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to Streets Run Red. The little bit I've seen of it, I really enjoyed.
Sweet, yeah, thank you. I think it's really coming along pretty good.
I really like the cop character in it.
Which one?
The detective character.
Jim Baglini's character or Ray DeNito's character?
I was to say Robert De Niro, but yeah, the second.
Yes, Robert De Niro makes a huge cameo in Street Run Red. We put our entire budget into that 2 milliseconds that we got Robert De Niro in it. No, yeah, Ray DeNito is amazing. As is his counterpart Jim Baglini. They nailed their roles. I couldn't have asked for better portrayals of those characters. I wrote it really with like that 1970s ambiguously racist, inner city cop, inner city detective vibe. You know what I mean? Like they're obviously invested in doing the right thing. These guys, but they're just such like jaded scumbags about it. So I really wanted to like portray that 1970s detective feel.
Yeah.
And they really nailed it. I mean, almost obnoxiously. Ray DeNito refused to go out of character. He was dropping racial slurs and making like really questionable gay jokes, and that's not him at all. He was just doing it because he wanted to stay in character.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, you're making us so uncomfortable. But he nailed the role.
Yeah, and I know he made. I guess you're allowed to say this. He made the fake Facebook account based on the character.
Yes, so I'm sure you can imagine what he's like in person.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I actually fell for it because it was on something you had posted, and he was like saying he's calling everyone like fags or lib fag, something like that.
He wasn't saying it. It's like it was a gay thing for him.
Yeah. And it was something like, oh, if I was there, my gun would accidentally discharge and stuff. I was like, whoa, what's up with this guy?
Yeah, he was posting all this like pro Donald Trump stuff and I don't know, just like lots of like country music references and America's like the best place in the universe type stuff. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. It was great. It was entertaining, and then it got old. By the end of the 2 weeks, but but it helped him nail the role really well.
Yeah.
Now he's just back to good old pothead Ray DeNito.
I see he's in a band. That's pretty cool.
He is.
It's like Jesse Hogg and the
Yes,
Boys.
Jesse Hogg. Yeah, something like that. Something in the Hogs, or you have to look it up. I don't remember the name of his band.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Where do you get the maggots and worms for your movie? Like, do you have like you know, in the big budget movies they have like a handler or like a, you know, to bring in all the bugs and stuff. But do you do that for your films too?
I have pretty bad hygiene, so all I have to do is like lift up my scrotum, and anything I want is it's right there. No, we go to pet stores because that's how they feed like lizards and shit.
Uh-huh.
So we just get like a jar of those, and I mean, I'm an animal lover, even insects. So like we try not to kill them like while we're shooting, but like those mealworms, if they touch a drop of water, they die. They're like so weak. So like we would try to keep as many of them alive as possible, and then let them free into the alleyway or wherever we're filming. But most of them usually die, which is pretty sad. But they make great actors.
And yeah, I thought they gave the best performance.
They did. I think I mean, if they hadn't all died, they should at least get posthumous Oscars or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also got to mention Debbie Rochon was great in the movie.
Debbie was awesome. Debbie was another one that didn't rehearse with us at all. She showed up, she nailed it. She was like in the middle of like 3 other films, so she was like very much, you could tell she was at her wit's end, but she nailed everything she did. She was great. And the best part was we were filming in this library in Milton, Massachusetts, which is like it's a nice suburb of Boston. And like we're shooting in this library, so obviously it's like really quiet and everything's nice. And the room they let us shoot in was next to this room that had like maps from the Civil War and stuff, like on the walls framed and stuff. Like it was like a map room or something. And so that was our staging room. So we had all our equipment in there. And then we had David Reed, who was in full like SS, Gestapo type regalia, practicing his lines, walking in a circle. And then Debbie Rochon, dressed like Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS, sitting in the corner practicing her lines. And these 2 little old people came in, like an old lady and an old man, like wandered into like the map room to look at the maps. And I'm not even looking at this. I'm in the room like getting ready for the next shot, and I come out, and there's David Reed, who played Sheriff DuPont, in full SS gear, basically, leading this woman around, talking to her, like explaining the maps to her as if he was a tour guide. And like I'm looking at them, and I'm like they might have been in the Holocaust, and like she's holding on to this guy, like this guy's arm who's like in full SS regalia, and she's like, "Oh, tell me about this map, young man." And he's like, "Oh, this map was made in 1835," or he's full of shit. And then the old man wanders away over to Debbie Rochon, who's like motionless in a chair, just reading her script, like with a swastika on her hat, and like, wearing like the high, like Ilsa boots and the fur jacket, and just covered in like offensive Nazi symbols and stuff. And the guy gets up real close to her, like within inches of her face, like looking at her, obviously thinking she's a statue. And then she like looks up at him, and he like jumps back, like almost has a heart attack. So like it was just, I couldn't believe my eyes. Here's this old man who thinks Debbie Rochon is for some reason a wax like statue of a sexy Nazi woman in a Milton library.
In the map room, it's historical.
Yeah, and there's an SS officer giving tours on Civil War maps.
That
was our experience with Debbie Rochon.
Did this really happen?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that makes me want to go.
Right.
I'll try and find the old couple before they die to back up my story. But they didn't look like they were going to be lasting too much longer. They were pretty senile.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least they had a good time. They get to see some good maps before they left.
Hey, they got to meet an SS officer and in the real life Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS, in Milton, Massachusetts, of all places.
Yes. So, where can people follow you and follow Ungovernable Films?
So, our website is www.ungovernablefilms.com. We're on Twitter. Ungovernable FLM is our Twitter handle. We're on Instagram, you can just search Ungovernable Films. We're on Tumblr, again, Ungovernable Films. Facebook is facebook.com/Ungovernable Films. We also just, in the last few months, made pages for all of our movies. So, like, people can like those. Don't be perturbed by the 5 or 6 likes that we have so far because we just started them. But yeah, we're very active on social media. My wife, as of 16 days from now, runs all of our social media stuff. Dave does our Twitter stuff too, and his wife Tracy does Twitter. But yeah, we're also at, you can contact us via email, and I answer all the emails for the most part. We're ungovernablefilms@gmail.com. So if you have any questions about screenings or acting or doing crew work or anything like that, hit us up.
Very cool. And,
we do bite, but hit us up.
Only if you ask nicely.
Yes.
And I want to mention that Gay Jesus is available on your YouTube page in full.
Yes, yeah, we made Gay Jesus available for free online on YouTube, and it's also on Vimeo. The link for the Vimeo is in the YouTube description, and yeah, so go to YouTube if you want to watch Gay Jesus. If you want to see what Jesus would have been like if he had been gay. He's actually bi in Gay Jesus, but who cares?
Yeah.
He loves everybody.
Yeah. He loves everyone.
I'm a big fan of Gay Jesus, and it really does have a great message. It's the ending of it's perfect.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
By Satan. So check that out. And really, it does kind of follow the Bible pretty much.
Yeah, I wanted to make it, I wanted it to be objectively unoffensive. You know what I mean? Like, if you watched it, the good guys are still the good guys, the bad guys are still the bad guys, so that if anyone got upset at it, it was homophobic to be upset. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
That's why I just made...
That's perfect.
Jesus was gay, whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I helped carry Gay Jesus into La Hacienda.
I remember hearing about this.
I looked over and Neil had his tongue out. He was licking Gay Jesus at one point.
It was funny because when you're outside, I thought nothing of it. And then as soon as we went inside and there was like normal people and they all looked over and I was like, oh, I'm carrying Gay Jesus on a cross. But
Say, wait a minute, that family over there has never carried Gay Jesus into a pizza restaurant?
No, I don't. Yeah. And I guess that's not there anymore? La Hacienda?
Yeah, they closed down. We got to shoot Tony Moran's scene there. We shot a lot of the Streets Run Red there. And then we had the rap party for Streets Run Red there. Yeah, they just sold, and the building, I don't know if it's gone yet, but it's being demolished, I believe.
That's too bad. Yeah, I had really good veal parm there.
Yeah. Cherish it. Cherish that memory.
I will.
Walgreens.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. This is our second interview with Paul. You can check out the previous one where we talked about Honky Holocaust over on the website, and I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Awesome. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Annabelle. It's always a pleasure, guys.
Very cool. All right. We shall return.
Hi, this is Bill Weeden from Troma, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, Citizen Taxi, The Toxic Avenger Part 3, and Ungovernable Films, The Ungovernable Force, plus many other films. And you are listening to Without Your Head.